Buenos dias, Gunners Collective. Back at it, you already know, like a motherfucking smack addict, right? And as you can tell by today's thumbnail, yes, indeed, I want to talk about the establishment of Nortenos in Fred C. Nelles, the California Youth Authority, right? I know I talk a lot about the California Youth Authority. I got a lot of memories there, a long history. I strived for many years. I did what I did, and it made me the man that I am, standing before you today, 10 toes down. It is what it is. In a menudo style, in a direct fashion. Let's get straight to it. Trip out on this. So as you can tell by that thumbnail, there's me, looking like a baboso, and the homeboy Spoquillo de Salas, Islas Casitas, a real hitter, a real one. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, when I met the individual, I knew right from the gate, right from the first time meeting him, this vato is a stone cold killer. Ain't no question about it. I already could see the fucking eye of the tiger. Dun, 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 dun. And I knew eventually, me as well as him, we were pinta bound. I already knew that was coming. Anyways, let's get to it. So the establishment of Nortenos, and there's a history. And I want to go into the history of it and talk about some stories about how it was established, what we did to get it like that, and how it went on from there. I can't speak on nothing after me. Tell you a little story. Other than that, that's about that. So Trip, I never knew about Nortenos going up down south, Sureños up north. You know, I didn't know none of that. You know, when I got to NRCC fresh off the boat, straight from juvenile hall, you know, convicted of a 187, my idealism and my thinking was everybody was everywhere. You know, I wasn't in administration's head. I didn't even know how to spell administration. I still don't, right? I didn't even know what was going on in their ways of thinking and bureaucratically what was going on up there in Sacramento and who was doing what, who was pulling strings. But somewhere along the line, I became hip to the skip, glitched up, educated to know that these vatos were playing with our lives. We were like crash test dummies. We were like rag dolls. We were getting thrown here and there. I'm talking about the vatos from the norte as well as the vatos from the sur, right? So little did I know, and I came to the understanding that Sureños had been going up north for many, many years. They had always been established up north. Now, of course, there would be more Norteños than Sureños, so the Sureños would be catching the blues. And in some cases, they would get their runbacks or they'd get off first and they'd handle theirs. You know, it was tit for tat. It was back and forth. The war was on. Now, as far as down south, they had never got their taste of Norteños. They didn't know what we had to bring to the table. Sasuke wasn't meatloaf, wasn't turkey, homes. We were bringing straight carne asada, vato, and in that fashion, right? And when we came for reals. So like the homeboy Dubs, shout out to Dubs V on his channel, said, they did try to send Norteños first down south to Paso, El Paso Robles, right? Which was a California Youth Authority institution that was established at that time. And it didn't fly. It definitely didn't fly, man. The Norteños rolled up. They put them all on one compa. They tried to seclude them and keep them segregated away from the Sureños. And of course, these Southsiders and Sureños, these young gangsters from down south, were about their business. They were trying to jump fences. They were trying to make things happen. There were many instances where they did mix Norteños and Sureños there on that compa, and it was going down, right? There was fileros and pedazos and whatever you want to call them being passed. People were feeling some type of way. It was a hatred beyond anything you could ever comprehend. And it wasn't a hatred because this vato did something to my jefita. Hey, man, you cut him in the back car with my sister. Nah, it was none of that. It was just a hatred that was ingrained by the big homies too. Sabes que these are the enemiga. They're not allowed to walk our compas. They're not allowed to be on our yarda and handle your fucking business. And you knew as a youngster, you don't question nada. You just take care of what you got to take care of in a professional manner, in a wild manner, any manner, by any means necessary. Handle it. And they tried. Of course, administration was just testing the waters, and they seen that it wasn't going to fly, and quickly they removed all Norteño presence out of Paso because Paso was rocking and it was rolling, you know? So now comes Fred C. Nelles, the time bomb. And you got to understand that this time, man, Fred C. Nelles was probably one of the oldest established youth authorities, institutions, but not only that, it was one of the craziest. They sent a lot of youngsters there. You could be anywhere from age 12 to age 25 there. Okay, so it was a good variety, a good mix of some older vatos, some younger vatos, some vatos in the middle. So I gotta be in the middle. You know what I mean? I got a right ball, left ball. Who's the dick in the middle? You, puto, right? And that's just what it was. There was a little bit of everyone, and everybody there were about earning their stripes. Every single person there, man, whether it was a white boy or a white man or a Africano, Crip, Blood, Norteño, Sureño, Bulldog, whatever the case may be, everyone there had a little bit of gangsta in them, right? People were about their business. That term YA baby came up way later. We're going to discuss that right now. But I want to say we are the reasoning and the establishment behind that term. Hands down, guaranteed. 90s era, wasn't nothing like it. Now, Trip. Somewhere along the line, the administration, Governor Pete Wilson, and all these other Bob Wilsons decided, you know what? This is not the Northern or Southern California Youth Authority. This is the California Youth Authority. We are going to send these kids that keep getting involved in a lot of different involved in a lot of different incidences up north, down south. Okay, they were going to give us a taste of our own medicine, because they were already doing this to the Sureños, the Southerners, the Southsiders. They were already shipping them up north, and they were going through the hardships of being far from home, not getting besitas like that. Just things and times were tough for them. So now it was our turn. It was my time. It was my time to shine, right? So for no other reason, they sent the first batch of Norteños to Nelles to establish. Now, not necessarily to establish, but to, hey, Sasuke, you're on your own. Okay, and their way of thinking was different compared to that of when they sent them to Paso. There was going to be no segregation. There was going to be no holding their hands in candy-coated raindrops. That's not what's going to happen. This time, they were going to throw vatos out on there on the linea, on the main line, and keep them there. So help them God, right? And sometimes that's what we needed. And that's what it was. So I myself as a young man, 12 years old, man, I pulled up to Fred C. Nelles. And let me talk about the atmosphere and the way it felt pulling up. As I'm on that bus, I'm shook up from the foot up, right? God dang, man, I should have never hit that Sureño in the back of his head, huh? So I was scared. It's payback time now, puto, right? I already knew what it was, but the mentality at that time was like, hey, I'm going to reap what I sow. I'm going to get mine on. Hey, I'm going to show them what's up with the funky called Medina, right? I'm going to get mine on. And I pull up, and I'm not saying I'm the big, badass, super Norteño at that time. Charlie, man, I was a young, skinny, pimply-faced, ugly-looking kid, Still don't look good, but I'm here, right? This is what I was. And getting off that bus with the 9 other raggedy-ass homeboys they sent me there with, man, we were looking like the fucking Brady Bunch or fucking Alfalfa and Spanky. You know what I mean? We weren't, bro. We were nada to behold. But there was a few of us that were going to turn nada into something great, right? So we get off that bus the first night, and I've told the story on what went down and how it went down and the fights I got involved in, the fights other people got involved in, and that's neither here nor there. The thing is, they end up sending us to a place where there were other Norteños established. And I'm not going to lie, there was rules and regulations that the Sureños had put in place. Talking about you guys can't take off your shirts. You vatos fucking can't have this, and you can't have that, and you can't use the microwave, and you can't use this, and you can't use that. And I'll tell you right now, right off the fucking rip, homes, with no sugar coating, no added preservatives, the homeboys that were there were not adhering to those rules. They had went through several riots, several melees, several one-on-ones to establish that. That was the true establishment of the Norteño cause in Nelles. And I got in where I fit in from day one, man. I slid right in like a motherfucking slick-ass dude, homes, on ice skates. What's cracking? What's good with it? I'm ready. Use me. Use this, right? I'm ready. Let's get down. Because not only for the cause, which I was a true believer and a striver, but also for my own safety and security. So I was trying to live. I was trying to live, okay? Vatos were trying to take my win, and I seen the only recourse of action and way to fucking keep my wins was to take theirs. Okay, and that's what it was. Was it pretty at all points in times? No. Was it hectic and ugly at all points in times? Charlie, it wasn't. It wasn't as bad as you may think, but it was pretty bad, okay, for those of us that went through it. And I could only feel and be sympathetic to the plight of the Sureños that were up north going through the same damn thing. Only ours was a little bit different. Because let me give you the numbers. Let me give you the makeup. Okay? At this time, there was about a total of 15 to 16 Norteños. We're counting Bulldogs at this time with Norteños because we were all one at that time. Okay? And there was about 700 to 800 Sureños. Gang members. Vatos that were in the mix. Now, sad of those 700 or 800, 500 of them are down to wiggle. 500 are down to wiggle. 200 remain about nada, right? They're going to lay it down quicker than fucking lay down can get laid down. Okay, and then you have Africanos and Gavas. A handful. Pobrecitos. They went through their own struggles. But we get there, and of course, all eyes on me. Everybody wants to get at us. Okay? So imagine laying your head on that pillow every night knowing that you're prime 101 target. You're the target. Vatos want you. They're going to get at you. There isn't a day that people aren't going to call you out. They're not going to fucking snake on you from behind. They're not going to jump you. Things are getting sharpened every night. The plan was for us Norteños to be eradicated off this yard. Okay, and our plan was to stay there, Vato, and establish, or at least get off enough till the administration got tired and said, fuck this, right? And shipped us back up north. That was our plan. That was our whole get down. That was our everyday breath and walk of life. Every day we wanted to put in that work, not only to prove that we were hard, super Norteños and that we were down for the cause. We already knew that. We wanted to do that to get back home, eh? Straight up. Just being real. And there were several hitters, man, that came along the way that grew up to be somebodies. You know, Baby Jokers. You know, he slid through. Spookio de Salas on the thumbnail. Of course, that's my boy, 30 plus years. He slid through. Puerco de Sanjo. Chucky de Sanjo. Soldier Boy de Stockton. Baz de Franklin. Sacra. Boo de Stockton. Cisco de Sanjo. Just a gang of homeboys. Perros included, man. I don't never leave the dogs out, man. They play an intricate part into my history as I play into theirs. You know, Dreamer de Corco Bulldogs. Real hitters. Real live vatos that weren't going nowhere, homes, without a fight. Okay? Am I going to sit here and say, oh, we were bad, man, and fucking Sureños couldn't see us and this, and that? Charlie, bro. You know how many times I've been jumped? You can't count them, vato. I guarantee that. You cannot count them, right? But it happened. And it's part of the historia of the way we established there in Nelles. Okay, there would never be a repeat of that. There would never be anything like it. When they tore that place down, they tore my sangre down with it, okay? There's a lot of vatos that did time in Nelles that never had to worry about that. You know, they're like, oh, Nelles wasn't that bad. Oh, yeah, we threw some fucks and every once in a while you heard a reject and yeah, we got in fights and this and that. But they got to pick and choose their fights for the most part. We didn't pick and choose our fights. We fought, homes. They picked and choose when they wanted to get off with us. That was it. Plain and simple. You know, I'm not here to cry about it and to get some fucking sympathy for what we went through. Charlie, homes, I'm here to establish 10 toes down. The history counts for something. Okay? Being a Norteño, being a fucking gang member from up north, you already have to know in your mentality, in your mind, homes, you're up short. The number, you're outnumbered. What you got to do is you got to get up. You got to get going. You ain't going to see no friends around. Charlie, Winnie the Pooh, you ain't going to see none of that, homes. That's what's not going to happen, homes. You're on your only. And if you happen to run into a good couple camaradas, a good couple homeboys, a good righteous soldado that's fucking going to stand and back your play, you're in the game, right? But there's far and few between, and it doesn't happen much. So when it does, grasp and hold, homes, and ride, brother. You know? But Trip, as a youngster and then Fred C. Nelles, there was a lot of things that was going on, not only with North and South, man, but there was a lot going on with South and South. You know, a lot of these vatos were getting off on their enemigos. The fucking shit didn't stop. Just because we got there didn't mean all of a sudden they banded together and they were getting along on our behalf. Charlie Holmes, they'd get off on us, get off on each other, get off on each other, get off on us. We'd get off on them, get off on It just was back and forth and round we go. Now, there was a couple incidences that stand out in my mentality, in my mente for life. One, you know, the first time the Sureño walked up to us, de Calexico, man, shout out to the vato. I don't know his name. I wouldn't say it if I did, but trip out. The vato came and got at us. And what had happened was there was a lot of Africanos. Shout out to my African brothers. There was a lot of Africanos that were moving into the compa. And if for no other reason, things were starting to get a little bit rowdy, a little bit hectic, a little bit of tension on the compa between the brown and the black. For some reason or another, I can't say what exactly it was. I can't hit the needle right on the head. I can't do that, Holmes. But what I can say is there was tension, and you could feel it mounting. We felt it as Norteños, and we were in a lightweight, loose alliance with the Africano faction, right? But even we were feeling the tension. Vatos were looking at people differently. People were getting quieter. When the day room hit, something was in the air. Okay? And so this vato comes and gets at us, and tells us, man, if we're down to unite forces to get at these vatos, to let it be known, man, that we ain't going nowhere as homes. As a Chicano race, we're going to fucking stand our ground. Or Spencer, not a race, but a fucking, as a people. And we did that. That stands out in my mind because that was the first end to hostilities. That was the first time the embracement between North and South was ever real, homes. And I wasn't tripping on, hey, we're going to turn it on them and hit these vatos back and forth like Miklo or finger sucker. Nah, it was never none of that in my mentality. It was, this dude was coming at us righteously, And we were there. Okay. Boom. Number two, second incident that always sticks out in my mind was the fact that I get there, right? And I'm young. I'm not knowing nothing. I'm not gamed up into the fucking Norteño mentality. I'm just knowing what I am. I'm from Merced, California. 7:30. This is where I live. This is where I'm from. And these vatos don't like me, right? And to see the looks on these individuals' faces when I would get in the compa, it was just distaste for me. It was hatred. It was a burning hatred in the eyes. And I'm like, damn, what I ever do to these individuals, right? And you got to understand, I was in CYA at that time for getting involved in a murder that took a Southsider's life. Yes, indeed, I did, right? Am I proud of it? Absolutely not. I live with that every day. But they knew this, right? So I always wondered why the mentality and the look and that fucking stare was just a little bit harder. Well, of course, these vatos felt some type of way about me. Of course, over the years and due course of action, I learned the reasoning behind it. I was a babo, so I should have picked up on it right from the gate, but I was too busy fucking sharpening things. Okay, Spencer. You know what I mean? But then after a while, I started to notice, no wonder I'm getting called out all the time. No wonder I'm getting snaked on everywhere I go. No wonder I'm getting jumped. It's not merely because I'm a Norteño from up north. It's because I did something to their gente and they feel some type of way. It's understandable. Well, guess what? I'm going to do it again. What the right? You know what I mean? That was my way of thinking. At that time, I wasn't sorry for what I did. Now, as an older adult, with gray hairs on my shin, you know what I mean? And already been there, done that. And standing back, man, and for the people, I could say truly, dispensa, you know, wholeheartedly. And that's what I mean, you know? But at that time, I didn't. Now, those are two things that stick out in my mind. But there was a lot going on around me. You know, I watched vatos get hit. And, you know, parents were tripping. You know, parents were tripping. Not necessarily mine. I got the type of parents, hey, you reap what you sow. Motherfucker, you want to act, you want gangbang? You gonna gangbang. Go on down there. I don't give a fuck if they send you to motherfucking Brazil. Vato, go get yours on. You know what I mean? You're going to be on your own. And that was it. But there were some parents, man, that were getting out of administration. Hey, my son should be down there. He's from up here. It's a hardship, this, that, boop-de-wop. And Pete Wilson was saying, Toma, I don't care. They're here and that they're going to stay. And then we got the mindset, man, we ain't going nowhere. This is it. This is home. You know, and I started to grasp the mentalities of down south. And that's why a lot of gente say, hey, Gun, you act like a sureño, you dress, you look, you talk. Nah, bro, it's not that, man. I was a young man. This is how I grew up. This is what I grew up around. I grew up knowing about Whittier Boulevard. Vato. I grew up knowing about 18 Florencia and Playboys. I grew up knowing about the Pomona 12th Street Sharkies, Evergreen White Fence and Hazard, Big Hazard. I grew up knowing about fucking the Inland Empire, San Diego, San Fernando Valle, San Gabriel Valle. Shout out to all the gente. I grew up. What do you expect? I wasn't a wannabe. I wasn't trying to be someone else. I was being myself, homes. But you're a product of your environment, and how you grow up is how you grow up. It made me the man I am today. But it also opened my eyes to know that the raza is all the same. North, south, and the west, all the way to the motherfucker. I'm going to knock you to the east, right? Period. But I put Spookio's picture up there because he was also a Norteño going through the struggle alongside of me. See, his mentality was a little bit different. He was a true fucking hitter. Okay, where I was doing it to live, vato, to fucking try to get up north. I'm trying to get out of here, but I don't even know what's going on, right? He was fucking liking it and loving it. And I knew one day, I said, damn, this homeboy is with the business. He's going to grow up to be a somebody, a big carnal. He's going to grow up to be a fucking hitter. And yes, he did. He grew up with 4 life sentences and 111 years. The homeboy grew up to be the one. To be vicious. And there's a lot of individuals that were down there, man, that are now C's, hermanos, or they stood in that plight. Because see, when you go through a struggle like we went through, your heart becomes colder. Your heart becomes black. It's a small one, Mr. Grinch. You have no heart. So anything, and this goes for all people that were in YA in the 90s. Dubs can attest to this. Shout out, brother. Anybody, you're gamed up, homes. You got a different mentality. YA baby's got a different type of game, a different type of rhythm, a different way to rock. They get down differently, bro. There is no motherfucking talking about it. Just, toma, let's get it, right? That's the mentality. You can't fucking play them out of pocket, bro. They've already went through all the YA games, all the little different situations. They've been told on. They seen what was telling. They could see it from a mile away. It is what it is. Do I say YA was a good thing and bringing a motherfucker for a motherfucker that knows he's going to prison? Hey, it was the training grounds for the penitentiary. It was to game you up and get you game tight. Now, of course, they coined the term YA baby later on because of us. Okay? Because this mentality we started taking to the streets. Fuck it, Holmes, let's get off. Homeboys were like, well, Spencer, wait up. You know, so we got to plan this just right. Fuck planning it, Holmes. There's a fucking handball court right there. Watch out, I'll kill every... Oh, damn, calm down, bro. Shit, it ain't that serious. This is how they felt, and this is all we knew. Okay, when you get put in an environment like that, you get thrown on a yarda with your enemiga, Holmes. What do you expect to happen? I know administration thought we'd all sit around kumbaya with the fucking chale, Holmes. We weren't putting teepees up, Holmes, and we weren't trying to fucking sit around a fire, Holmes. You know what I mean? We were in that motherfucker with the sharpest thing that we could grab and handling our business against our enemigas. That's just facts. That's just what it was. That's just the righteous mentality that we had. Now, whether you call it righteous or it isn't righteous, at that time, hey, it made me live. So that's all that fucking mattered, right? So trip out. The reason Spooky was on there, like I said, is because he strived with me. But there were so many more that did. And I respect all of them, North and South, that strived together. We went through so much together, you know. But the establishment of the Norteño was a struggle, but we did that. Now, after us, of course, I can't call it like an alcoholic. I don't know what happened. You know, I don't know if administration finally opened their eyes up and said, you know what, these motherfuckers are just too much. It's time to fuck. This experiment did not work. So let's get this vaccine. It's not working, right? But they started to ship Norteños out of there. And the last one shipped out, I don't know when. And that was that. Of course, shout out to Batman de Vaisa. He was the last one up out of there. Spencer, homie, they kept you there, man. But you're living that good life. Now, Trip, we were established, though. We did things people thought we couldn't do. Just a handful of young, skinny-ass, pimply-faced, ugly kids went down south and established. Do I take anything away from the Sureños? Absolutely not. Because, boy, they tried hard to get rid of us, right? But they didn't, bro. And that's a fact, okay? That's a fact. It's not a slap in the face. It's not disrespect. It's not saying we're better than anyone else. It's not saying they couldn't get the job done. It's merely saying we handled our business, bro. And can nobody, I don't give a fuck on what status you're at right now. I don't give a fuck if you're no longer active, if you're fucking super active, if you're, no, none of that counts, Holmes. You're no good. I don't give a fuck about none of that, Holmes. We did that. Can't take it away. Anyways, at the end of the day, man, shout outs and respects to all the YA babies, the true YA babies that were there. Rockton, Nelles, Carl Holton, Preston, YTS, Paso Robles, Ventura, fucking OH, all these other places. Shout outs, respects, even Mad Chad. Them fools would throw you off the tier over there. It's crazy. I'm glad I didn't go there. Anyways, the gun, bang, bang. We were established.